I've got some betting numbers, Ohio State, Oregon, if you'd like.
Yeah, what do we got?
Well, how do you think Ohio State does in top 5 matchups? They
don't
played
think-
a lot of them.
I don't think anyone does great in top 5 matchups. It's usually about a 50-50 curve. So I'll say that. I'll say they're about 50%.
In top 5 matchups, Ohio State has now lost 3 straight and 4 of the last 5.
Okay.
They are
Some of that's Michigan, obviously, right?
against top 10 teams since 2018. They are 6-13-1 against the spread.
Oh, all right. So, and they're favored by what? 3.5, 4?
Depending on where you look, I believe that is correct.
Yeah. So
that is the second worst number against the spread against the top 10 in college football,
Ooh.
behind Michigan State,
very intriguing.
who is 3-13 against the spread. By the way, these numbers come to us from Action Network.
Okay.
Got
I
to
don't know if
cite
that
the.
has anything to do with anything, but yeah,
No,
just
it
leads you to
doesn't.
believe that they haven't been great in those big games.
Maybe a little overvalued in big games.
Possible. But I'm telling you, I've looked at this over the years, and most of the time, even the big boys, the Sabins and the Kirby Smarts, you know, and Bartu talks about this a lot, that most of those teams, like 95% of the games they play, they have an overwhelming amount of talent versus the other squad. When you get, even Chip was like this. Remember, Chip was rolling people when he was at Oregon. But when Chip played people that were that out recruited him or better, you know, the Auburns and the LSUs of the world, Chip was about a 500 football coach, which is kind of on par for most of the teams. Although it sounds like Ohio State is, you know, they've
Not that great, Bob.
not that great recently. And again, some of that's probably going to be a college football playoff. And you know, Michigan is what, 3 straight years Michigan's got them, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, JC Babes.
So I mean, that's 3 of those.
No, didn't Ohio State beat him? No, they beat him last year.
Michigan got him
because they won the title.
Michigan got him at least the last 2 years, and I think they've got him the last 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. James Franklin.
Kirk Franklin.
Yeah, Kirk Franklin of the singing variety. James Franklin is awful in those games. And you know,
You're
that's
speaking Japanese.
And that's like the Bo Pelini thing, right? I mean, Bo Pelini, like there's some guys that win 9-10 games every year, see James Franklin, but they can't win the games that matter.
You're making me uncomfortable.
And that's the big boys. Big game Bob Stoops made his name off of that. And then for the last 10 years he was at Oklahoma, Bob was the definition of meh.
Okay, do you know when the last time Oregon was a home dog?
Last time Oregon was a home dog.
It's been a while.
Trying to think of who would have rolled in here. Well, they had some the down year, like the Helfrich year.
Mhm.
Someone had to. It had to be like that.
Well, it was later than that.
It was later than that.
Yeah.
Cristobal.
2018.
Okay.
The Ducks were home dogs to Washington with Justin Herbert and C.J. Verdell, and they won. They beat him in overtime.
Oh.
30-27.
So everything, by the way, at this point, load up all your life savings on Oregon versus Ohio State.
Now, here's the other one. When was the last time the Ducks were a home dog against a team not based in the Mountain or Pacific time zone?
Run that by me again.
When was the last time Oregon was a home dog against a team not based in the Mountain or Pacific time zone?
A home dog. So someone that came from Central to East. They were favorites against maybe that Michigan squad?
2003 Michigan.
Yeah.
And Oregon won that
Oregon
game.
won that game.
31-27. Prior to Alabama v. Georgia a few weeks ago, which that game was won by Alabama, the last top 5 team to close as a home underdog against another top 5 team was Notre Dame in 2020 against Clemson. And Notre Dame won that game.
So what we're saying here
47-40.
is there is no chance that Oregon loses this game.
I don't think Ohio State should show up.
No, they shouldn't. I mean, what is Ohio State doing?
What
are
are
the
they
troops
even doing?
fighting for? What is Ohio State doing?
Why are you even coming here?
What are the Colorado Rockies? Oregon is going to crush Ohio State.
The best part of football is football. And so you got to do football.
They will do
They're
football.
gonna do football.
They will do it. Not as well as Oregon, but they will do football.
Top 5 home dogs in top 5 matchups. This is the last 30 years. Okay, so now we're going bigger sample size here.
Yeah, that is a big sample size.
Top 5 home underdogs in top 5 matchups the last 30 years. There have been 17 of those, and the underdog has won outright only 8 times. 8 and 9.
Interesting. Who were the?
No, wrong.
Wrong.
That is straight up. I'm sorry. That is the ATS number against the spread.
Okay.
The home underdog in the top 5 matchup has covered 8 of the 17 times. They have won 5 of the 17 times.
Okay.
So they are 5-12.
So that's the first one that leads you to believe that Oregon may not win by 40
So maybe
points.
Ohio State does get on the bus
Barely.
or the plane
They think about getting on the plane.
or the chopper.
Frank and Lindor with a double, by the way.
Top 5 home underdogs since 1990. So if you're in the top 5
Mhm.
and you are an underdog at home, since 1990, there have been 72 of those games.
Boy, that's way more than I would have thought.
Well, again, this isn't against other top 5 teams.
Yeah,
this
this
is just
your top 5.
you're an underdog
Yeah.
and you're a top 5 team.
But most of the
at
time,
home.
if you're a top 5 team at home,
You're not an underdog.
although
often.
to be fair, there are a lot of years where you get top 5 teams
Yes.
that like
Conference games.
right and then
Think like Georgia, Bama,
yeah,
things like that.
Yeah, weird things happen.
Lowell, like this one,
Yeah.
Oregon, Ohio State.
Yeah.
The straight up number, 72 games. The home underdog has won only 19 of those games.
Ooh, that's not good.
So Ohio State should come out
Ohio State probably now
on second thought.
probably on second thought are going to get on the airplane.
Yeah.
Probably.
And against the spread, the home dog is 29-42-1.
So if you're top 5 and a home dog, you may be in trouble.
Well,
well,
since 1990,
I wonder
The
how
last
much,
34 years,
I
basically.
wonder how much of that is like when you're a home dog and you're a top 5 team. That if you're a dog, that means the team coming for you is pretty. Like you said, that's
Yeah.
that Alabama's coming in to cook on your grill.
They're eating the dogs.
And by the way, that may be Ohio State
literally
like,
eating the dogs.
like going into this game. Remember Urban Meyer at the start of the year, and Urban says like, "Hey, dude, I am not blowing smoke." He thinks that this right here is the best Ohio State team in this kind of
Yeah.
whatever this run of it. And there's a lot of people that were saying that at the start of the year, and that may be the case. We just don't know. We at the end of this game, we may look up and be like, "Yeah, that Ohio State team
All
was really good." We don't know because they haven't played anybody.
Well, I just think guys like him in shows like that are prone to hyperbole like that.
Sure.
And of course, he coached there, and
But there is a lot of smart people that say that this
I understand.
team is
But I think
loaded.
that when you have a team, what are you drinking over there?
That would be a Monster Ultra Peach.
Sounds hot.
It's actually quite cold.
I think when you, I don't know. I need to see a special quarterback. I'm not sure that they have that. You know, it's like I think back to C.J. Stroud, and didn't that team? Who did they lose to when they lost in a shootout with Stroud in the playoff by a field goal?
Who did they lose
Playoffs?
to?
You remember that?
I do kind of remember that. I'd have to go
That
back
team
and take
was
a look.
damn good,
Yes,
and
it was.
they lost in the semifinal.
Was it Georgia?
Georgia?
Was that the one where the kid missed the field goal at the
right
end?
at the end.
I think that might
And I
have
think
been,
everyone counted the Ohio State out.
I think that was
I
the year that
think
it
Bama
was
played
Georgia.
Georgia in the final. I
Yes.
just don't remember which one they played. Ohio State played.
I think that was the Georgia game, and I think everyone was like, "Oh, Georgia's going to smoke Ohio State." And
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud, they dropped like 50 on him.
It was Georgia.
Yeah.
Yep.
That team was pretty damn
Yeah,
good.
he went-
even though they didn't
And
win.
Ohio State had a kick for the win that should have been made.
Yeah,
but
he went
wasn't.
23 of 34, 4 tutties, and he carved him up. But yeah, they missed a field goal. It was a long field goal, but they missed it.
I just think when you're saying things like that, oftentimes, you know, these teams like Ohio State are always loaded with talent.
yeah.
But oftentimes their most special teams of all of the loaded teams have that really special quarterback. I think back to the Clemson teams with Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence.
And Will Howard probably doesn't
That's not the
fit
guy.
that mold.
That's not the
But
guy.
neither does Dylan Gabriel, which is kind of fun because it's the same.
Yeah, but they're not in the same class
No,
as
no.
Urban Meyer saying that this is Ohio State's most
Yeah.
talented team ever. Or what did he say? This is their best team ever? Especially 5 games in when they haven't played anybody. Come on,
Well, he
man.
said that before the season even started.
All right.
So,
All right. Well,
We'll see.
Maybe he's right, but I think he's full of crap.
well, that's what I'm saying. At the end of this game, we may look back and be like, oh, Georgia was a lot of hype, or excuse me, Ohio State, or we look back kind of like what Georgia was, and we're like, yeah, this is a real good team. Well,
So the Georgia team that whipped the crap out of Dan Lanning, that team,
they won a national title.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Stetson
they
Bennett,
did. So
Mo
it was,
Bowers,
it was
yeah.
the back-to-back. So
Yeah.
Lanning won the first one with them.
Yes.
Correct.
And then they kicked his ass
Yes.
when he comes here and they win again.
Yes.
And now he wins one.
And that team was actually
Yeah, they were loaded.
unlike
And their quarterback.
yeah, it's Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what the Ohio State team is all about. That Georgia team, yeah, we know what that was about.
Of course, Stetson Bennett is not like. I mean, I don't think he falls into that. Deshaun Watson.
No, but he
Trevor
was
Lawrence,
he was
Jameis
he was a
Winston.
really good college
Because
quarterback.
Winston's another one. When Oregon has been special with Mariota,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
I mean, you're talking about quarterbacks that win a big game. Dylan Gabriel beat number 3 Texas in the Red River game last year. So he's done it against a top 3 opponent.
Yeah, Dylan Gabriel, is he getting some smoke?
I don't know if he's getting smoke. Look,
He's
Dylan
awesome.
He hasn't
Gabriel's
looked as
good.
sharp, to be
No,
fair.
he hasn't.
I think we believed that Dylan Gabriel was going to be Bo Nix Part 2 or better. And I know it's early on. That's a disservice to Bo Nix. As good as Dylan Gabriel has been, Bo Nix was a better quarterback to me, significant better quarterback than what Dylan Gabriel
Well,
is.
and Bo Nix year 2 was leaps and bounds ahead of Bo Nix year 1, and Gabriel's in year 1 here,
and
the only year.
You got to remember, too, that Gabriel doesn't quite have the O-line quite yet.
True.
That Knicks had.
Nope.
A
A lot of weapons on the outside, though.
Yeah, but, I mean, if you can't, like, they've had to move him around a bit here, and they didn't have to do that with Knicks. They were just picking people apart.
Yeah.
Great offensive line.